Time in this country when civility reigned, when dignity and decorum were simply a given, when the President of the United States conducted himself in a manner befitting the highest office of the greatest nation in the world. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us tonight. This week, the Obamacare debate rages on. The President of the United States lowering himself to a level rarely, if ever, seen in American politics. His comments laced with ridicule and sarcasm.
And now they've gone beyond just holding Congress hostage, they're holding the whole country hostage.
But it gets better. Take a listen to his top advisor, his head cheerleader, Nancy, his Senate Majority Leader, and the guy who invented the internet.
What we're not for is negotiating with people who have a bomb strapped to their chest.
Legislative arsonists are at work.
We're not going to bow to Tea Party anarchists.
I think the only phrase that describes it is political terrorism.
Bombs strapped to their chests? Arsonists? Terrorists? You call people terrorists? You want to talk terrorist? How about shipping thousands of assault weapons to the Mexican drug cartels for free, which are then used to massacre both Americans and Mexican civilians? Might that qualify as terrorism? And anarchists? You force us to purchase insurance, fine us if we don't, hire 16,000 new IRS agents to come after us, something your IRS has already been doing against your political enemies, and we're the anarchists? What's with the name-calling? It's beneath you, or at least beneath the office that you hold. Mr. President, I think that we can all agree that your signature legislation was written by a committee whose own chairman didn't understand it, passed by a Congress that didn't read it, who then decided to exempt themselves. Do you really think that forcing young people to buy health insurance will cover the health care costs of the additional 30 million people without adding a single doctor? Now, how are you going to do that? Who's going to run this mess? Houdini? Mr. President, I walked in the heart of New York City, 6th Avenue, part of the liberal Northeast, a bastion of the Democratic Party, a place you can count on. And I asked people about Obamacare, and I gotta tell you, no one understands it. What do you think of Obamacare?
I don't really quite understand it, just like everybody else. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's just not explainable to me.
Okay, do you think you're gonna have to read the 1,500 pages so that you can understand it?
That ain't happening.
What do you think of Obamacare?
Not much.
Why?
Don't know enough about it.
What do you think of Obamacare?
I'm not familiar enough with it to give an honest opinion.
It's no wonder the polls continuously reflect disapproval of your landmark legislation. They don't want it, they don't like it, and they can't afford it. It's a national joke.
Breaking Bad has its final episode on Sunday. Well, as you know, it's a great show, isn't it? It's the story of this chemistry teacher, teaches chemistry in high school, and he has cancer, and he starts making meth to help cover his medical bills and provide for his family. Or as Republicans call that, a legitimate alternative to Obamacare.
Do you remember in your sales pitch you promised that Obamacare would lower premiums for families by $2,500, that no one would have to change their doctor, and that we could keep our current plans, and that it will not hurt jobs? Well, here's the inconvenient truth. As a direct result of Obamacare, more than 300 companies have already either eliminated jobs or reduced full-time jobs to part-time jobs. You promised that we could keep our doctors, but those health care exchanges, you know, the ones that begin this Tuesday, they don't even identify the doctors. And what about the doctors closing up shop or cutting back on patients because they can't even keep up with the paperwork? And affordable? Many across the country will face hikes of 30, 40, 50% or more. And by the way, did your lawyer in over his head holder review your landmark legislation? To me, it sounds like he did, because every time it's supposed to be rolled out, there's another problem and another delay. Could you do me a favor? Could you give him a little note from me? You cannot change a law passed by Congress without congressional approval. You can't just say, okay, this one's not going to work, so forget about it. And you dig your heels in even more by ridiculing anyone who opposes your law as rich fat cats who've already got good health care.
Some of the Tea Party's biggest donors, some of the wealthiest men in America, are funding a cynical ad campaign trying to convince young people not to buy health care at all. I mean, think about it. These are billionaires several times over. You know they've got good health care.
Mr. President, with all due respect, if your health care plan is so great, why aren't you enrolled in it? Why don't you change course a little and lead by example? If your plan is so great, why did you exempt your union buddies? You know, the ones who helped you get elected. And if it's so great, why are Congress and federal employees not enrolled in it? And you want to talk fat cats? It seems to me like you guys are the fat cats, and we're the peons who have to pay for this mess that will do nothing but enslave our children and grandchildren for generations to come. And then you trash Fox News Channel because we call you out on it.
If you talk to somebody who said, well, I don't know, I was watching Fox News and they said this horrible.
Mr. President, you're not talking to me, are you? You're not talking to me.
You talking to me? You talking to me? Well, then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here.
Mr. President, I'm not the only one here. With me now, Professor Emeritus of Neurosurgery at Johns Hopkins University and Fox News contributor, Dr. Ben Carson. Good evening, Dr. Carson. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. And, you know, the very unfortunate thing here is that sometimes things have to get so bad that even the most biased person can see that, you know, it's a tragedy. And unfortunately, that's where we're going to have to go before a lot of people wake up. But I do think people are starting to wake up and starting to realize that, you know, this is nothing but a farce. And really, I don't think the people who put this together ever intended for it to really work, because it is so bad, it is so ill-conceived. I can't imagine smart people would put something like that together.
And Doctor, I'm going to ask you to stand by. We're going to have more on the Obamacare battle with you right after the break. And vote in tonight's Instapoll. What fictional TV or movie president would you want in the White House? Facebook or tweet me at Judge Jeanine. And later, a worldwide manhunt for this woman. Could this terror suspect, dubbed the White Widow, be the mastermind behind last Saturday's Kenya massacre?